Talk about a crazy game. If my hair is any indication right now, is that that one was all over the place. What a grind of a game that was for the Maple Leafs. But you know what? Looked good at the end, especially whenever they got the winner. But anyway, exhausting. Whew. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan from Seaway Sports Lounge, and we're going to be talking about the Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning Game 3. This is my reaction. This is a series of videos I've been doing. Honestly, this game was quite interesting, to say the least. Maple Leafs ended up winning 4-3 in overtime. So we're going to go through the game. We're going to go, of course, like I always say, period by period, a little bit of synopsis of what happened. And then after that, we're going to go through the takeaways, what I saw, and then we'll see where the series goes from there. So with that, let's just get right into it. So as I said, the Leafs win 4-3 in one overtime. Now, this was tiring to watch. It was a grind all the way through, especially on the Maple Leafs end. Yeah, we'll go through that in a second. But anyway, just exhausting. It was a great finale, but it was not easy to watch. I'll be honest with you. During this game, as you can see here, Tampa outshot them 39-29 or 39-28. Power plays were even. Nobody got any power play goals, so the penalty kill was really good on both sides. Penalties dead even. Of course, hits. Toronto carried a 3-hit advantage. There was a lot of physicality in this game. That's a norm in this series. Has been a lot of physicality, which we all knew was going to happen. Toronto and Tampa were really going to throw the body around, and because Toronto beefed up their lineup to be able to do those things, I had a feeling they would do more, and they have. Block shots. The shots were the big thing out of all this, as far as I'm concerned. 26 shots were blocked to 14. Toronto, what I gathered all this is that Tampa just outshot them by almost over a 2-1 margin in shot attempts and shots in general. It just they combined those things together. Tampa was just all over. The shots were getting through all the time. Anyway, but we'll go into that in a minute. Turnovers relatively looked like Tampa had a little more turnover than Toronto, but I didn't see too many turnovers. It was pretty good. Everybody had a good control. No one made any catastrophic mistakes, so that was good to see. Throughout other playoffs for the Maple Leafs, sometimes there was this one mistake that would finish them off, and anyway, that didn't happen tonight, and not throughout this series, to be honest. Okay, so the first period. So the period exchanged 4 goals, 2 goals aside. Noel Chari got his first. It was a nice goal. It was a nice blaster from Matthew Nyes and Ryan O'Reilly. Great goal. I saw that actually a little earlier. I actually didn't see the full first period from one end to the other. I was somewhere else at the time. Then Tampa tied it up 1-1 from Cirelli, from Killorn and Hagel. And then Matthews got his goal from Marner and Yarncronk. That line is doing very well. I'm really happy they brought it back together. That line should stay together for this entire playoff, as far as I'm concerned, unless they have to do some small changes. And then at the very end of the period, and this is a trend that Toronto's been doing a lot lately, is they've been getting a lot of goals, a lot of goals against at the very end of every period. And I don't like that. That's not a good trend to do. You want to close out your period, right? You want to get it all done, finished up, and you don't have to worry about those extra little goals that just you have to sit in the intermission knowing that you let one in right at the end, but they've let one in. Now, there was a review on this play. It was a bit of a weird goal. The whistle went, but no one touched the puck from anyone in Toronto's end. So it just went in, and that's what counted. And I guess that's the rules according to what I was told and what I've seen. But anyway, that goal counted, and they tied it up 2-2. So they ended up going into the first intermission with that. So not too bad. 2-2 is okay, but it would better have been 2-1. But anyway, we moved into the second period. Second period was a lot of Tampa. Tampa had good control over that whole period. They were constantly driving into Toronto's end. That was something else I noticed. A friend of mine pointed that out too while we were chatting, is that Tampa drove the puck most of the game and Toronto did a lot of dump and chase. So that's a sign that maybe they were a little overwhelmed a bit. I don't know. I've just noticed that that's a difference than what happened in the first 2 games. Toronto had to do that more often. Anyway, Darren Radish ended up getting the goal for Tampa to go up 3-2. And it was, like I said, it was a grind in the second period. Toronto could not get anything set up, couldn't get anything going. Tampa, it's unreal. Like if you look here, shots in the period, 15-8. The first 2 periods, 13 and 15. I mean, Toronto just got outshot by almost a 2-1 margin there on both sides. So Anyway, safe to say they were not doing as well as they should, and it felt that way when you watched the game. Third period rolled around, and Toronto again was still in that grind kind of game. There was, if you look here, here's what happened. So about 5 minutes into, there was a play that happened where Morgan Riley ended up going into the end with Braden Point, and Braden Point slammed into the boards really hard. I mean, it looked bad, but it not in the bad that it was intentional to hurt. I mean, it was just a bad. The check just went a little wrong. Anyway, then that whole sequence started to cause a massive amount of roughing and fighting. I mean, Matthews and Stamkos fought. I mean, no one's ever seen that before, but they did, and it never was just a matter of sticking up for your players. And it was a real mess. The game ended up being delayed by almost 10 to 15 minutes to try to sort it all out of who was being penalized and who was what. Point ended up going leaving the game for a short period of time to get checked. He actually collapsed onto the ice about maybe 30 feet out from the scrum as he was trying to get back. It looked like he was hurting his ribs. And then whenever you saw John Cooper's reaction, you could tell that when he was told what was going on, you clearly can tell that he wasn't happy with what he saw, what he heard. But Point ended up coming back into the game about maybe 3 or 4 shifts later. Doesn't seem like there was much damage to Point. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone get hurt, especially a hit like that. Obviously, it looked like it was his head, but it wasn't. It was down into the rib area. It seemed kept holding that spot. But anyway, at one point, there were 6 players, 3 on each side in the penalty box, and it was all either their power, all their stars were in the penalty box. So it was quite interesting to see. No damage done on the power play by Toronto, of course. They didn't score. They ended up getting a power play out of all that anyway. So that was the third period. That was the big thing with the third. It was that big hit and that scrum and fights and all that happened. And then, of course, at the very end period with a minute left, it was Toronto's turn. So everybody was on edge. The whole Leafs Nation was on edge. Everyone was waiting to see if a goal could happen. They pulled Samsonov, and then Ryan O'Reilly right in front of the net. Puck. Nylander had the puck. He did an offshoot pass directly at the net. Ended up hitting. It hit Vasilevsky, I think, and it was right in front. And then Ryan O'Reilly just shoveled it in, tied the game. Everyone was going bananas. It was great going into the third, into the overtime. Overtime again. Tampa controlled the play a lot of overtime. There was well over 7 to 8 shots to Tampa's for Toronto's 2 or 3. Again, it seemed like Toronto just couldn't get into that. And right near the end of the period, right near the end of the overtime period, Toronto started to get a bit of momentum. Anyway, Toronto ended up getting a post. I think it was a post or a crossbar from Justin Hall, believe it or not. It was through a big scrum of players and it got through. And then all of a sudden, face off in Tampa's end. Toronto ended up getting the puck, go back to Riley. It was a clean face off win. Riley just threw the puck at the net, fluttered over, and hit the top of the net, in the net. Game over. That's it. And you know what? Just unbelievable finish. Could not believe that happened. Everybody on the bench was just jumping. I've never seen Sheldon Keefe jump that high in any game. They showed the picture of the bench on the reaction, and it was unreal. You just see him just jump. I think he jumped 3 feet in the air. Like that man, he was very, very happy. I mean, everybody was, but like, that man was quite happy with that because of how the game went. And of course, they show Dubas and them as well, and they're all right into it. And I love seeing that on any team for that matter. But I just like whenever they show the emotion. That's what it's all about. So that was the game essentially. Now, takeaways from all this. My opinion, first star, Samsonov. Like without him, they wouldn't have won this game. Tampa had them. Tampa was just dominating Toronto on the puck possession and also the puck entrance into the zone. You know what, Sammy stood his ground, did his job. Yes, he had 1 goal near the end of the first. That was so. You know what? He did his job and he got us the win as far as I'm. Riley had another great game. He was in there, he was battling, he was fighting. He gets the winning goal. You know, he even got his face busted up enough there. He had to go get some repairs done in the dressing room. And the other thing I'm going to take away is that the Leafs didn't just roll over and die. In other playoff series in the past, when they get down like this, it's over. The game would have been over. There had been no chance of Toronto getting a win. Okay. They would have never, ever have managed to do it. And you know what? They did it tonight because guys like O'Reilly stepped in and he did his job, grinded through the play. They played a little bit of, chancy playoff hockey there where they were kind of letting Tampa do a lot of the pushing. of the offense. You know what? They got the goals, they got the play, and you know what? They ended up getting the win. We'll take that win, even though other times it wouldn't have happened. It happened in our favor for once. And this happens to Tampa all the time. Tampa would get a game where they, even the coach that was on there before, who now coaches Detroit, was in the intermission saying that, there were games that they had that they shouldn't have won, and they did. Well, you know what? Toronto played well enough to stay in the game, but Sammy was the guy that kept bailed them, kept them in there, and then Toronto got those timely goals and won the game. So you know what? It's nice to see it in our favor for once. Hats off to Samsonov. Thank you so much for that crazy win. Crazy game all around. Really, really happy. Now they go up 2-1. Now they have one left in Tampa before they go back home. Obviously, you got to try to win that one too. I mean, you never know, but Tampa's going to come back with a vengeance. I know that for a fact. They don't like losing on home ice, and Tampa never usually loses on home. Tampa will come back and try to win it back. So we'll see. But you know what? Great character win for the Leafs. I'm so happy they got through it. Wasn't sure if they were going to. I don't think most of us did, but you know what? They did it, and they were showing that resiliency that we were seeing all year. This is where they were just, sometimes those games just like, I don't know, they're not going to do it. And then all of a sudden they do it. So, anyway, I think I'm going to stop it here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. Game time will be on Monday at 7 p.m. as always, like it always is. Game 4 in Amalie Arena in Tampa. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll talk soon. And thanks very much for watching.